Welcome aboard, everybody. It is the 10th day of May, and I'm getting some really crazy feedback here. Hold on, from my board. Let me see if I can fix it. That's a little bit better. There we go. Thanks. Welcome aboard, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden. It is the 10th day of May, 2013, and we are live. The call-in number, 866-582-9933. That's 866-582-9933. Now, you always hear me talk about science-based, clinically verified this and science-based, clinically verified that, right? Anybody that tells you naturopathic medicine or science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition is not science-based, is lying to you, or is so stupid that, quite frankly, I'm surprised how they are able to take a breath. This is all science-based, clinically verified. That's what my profession does. We are the standard bearers for using the scientific method to prove that our therapeutics are effective, whether it's acupuncture, whether it's homeopathy, whether it's medical nutrition, whatever the heck it is, the use of herbs, it works. Breaking news from the Netherlands. Probiotics were effective in helping to prevent a first episode of a condition called hepatic encephalopathy in patients with cirrhotic liver. That means if you have a funky liver that has cirrhosis, one of the things that can happen is you can get an infection in your brain and it causes your head to swell up like a watermelon. It's not good. It is estimated that hepatic encephalopathy, which is your head swelling up like a bowling balloon, occurs in 30 to 45% of patients with cirrhosis, and the death rate is 20 to 30%. Because bacterial overgrowth in the small intestine leads to endotoxemia, which is fancy schmancy doctor talk for a toxic condition of the blood. The researchers reasoned that probiotics could prevent the condition, and guess what? It did. In over the patients in the control group, that's the group that did not get the probiotics, had twice the chance of getting a brain infection than the people that took the probiotics. So the probiotics was hands down delivered unbelievable results in helping a cirrhotic liver to develop into a very nasty, life-threatening condition. But tip of the iceberg, that's not the only thing. Check this out. I just did a webinar last night about sleep and how to have healthy sleep. And if you want to check that webinar out and about 25 others that we have now archived in our library, be my guest. Please log on to fireyourmdnow.com, fireyourmdnow.com, and click on the Online Health Recovery Program button. Become a subscribing member at $17 a month. And for $17 a month as a subscribing member to my online health recovery stuff, you will have 24/7 access to everything that's in my archive library and 4 hours of live access every week. That's right, 4 hours of live stuff, live webinars that we do every week. We do it Monday morning from 10 to 11. We do it Monday evening from 8 to 9. We do it Thursday morning from 10 to 11 and Thursday evening from 8 to 9. Those times all Central Time. 4 hours of live stuff every week and hours and hours and hours of archived information in webinar format and also in written format and little video format. This subscription is a wealth of information, and if you missed last night's webinar, we had 91 people, I believe, 91 or 93 people at the height of the webinar. It was a really good information. We had people last night from all over the world. We had people from Australia, from South Korea, from the Netherlands, from Mexico, from Canada, and from the USA. That's 6 countries represented. For goodness sake, the guy from the Netherlands, it was 3 o'clock in the morning his time, and he's so jazzed about what we're talking about, he logged on at 3 a.m. in the Netherlands. This is the type of person that gravitates towards what we do. People who are passionately involved in getting informed about things that they can do right now in order to increase their health by firing their medical doctors. Now, check this out. So the webinar last night, right, on how to have healthy sleep patterns. This study out of, I'm trying to see where this came from. According to the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration, didn't even know such a thing exists, but apparently it's a government organization. The Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration says that emergency department visits for adverse reactions related to a sleep drug increased by 220% in the last 5 years. It increased by 220% in the last 5 years. The sleep drugs that were involved, Ambien CR, Edluar, never even heard of that one, and Zolpimist, I've heard of that one. Edluar, never heard of that one. Ambien CR, of course, everybody's heard of that, and Ambien. Causes a 220% increase in emergency room visits. And we wonder why we're having a healthcare crisis here. We wonder why our economies are being crushed by the cost of health care. Well, here it is, right in front of your face. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, let the scales fall from your eyes, and check it out. Not only does Ambien not get to the root cause of what makes you have insomnia, it doesn't. It drugs you into sleep. It's a hypnotic sedative. It messes with this stuff called a GABA receptor in your brain, and it artificially puts you to sleep. It's a sedative. It's meant to put you to sleep through a biochemical action. It pushes you aggressively into the land of Nod. And guess what? When you mess with your biochemistry aggressively in an oppositionally defiant method, the way that MDs do, you're going to have pushback from the system. You're going to develop side effects. And this is a big deal, right? This is a big problem. But it goes on, and it goes on, and it goes on, and it goes on. We continue to go back to the MDs because we don't know any better, for goodness sake. Women and the elderly appear to be the most prone to adverse reactions linked to the sleep drug. It's really important that MDs query their patients about what other medications they're on, says Peter Delaney, PhD Director, Center for the Behavioral Health Statistics and Quality. All of these people are running around, scurrying around furiously inside of their box looking for an answer, but they will never find it because their medicine is the cause of all of this trouble. You can't do it. You can't put a round peg into a square hole. If you try to force a round peg into a square hole, you're going to have all kinds of trouble. And you wouldn't expect a communist to be able to give you information about voters' rights, right? Well, neither should you expect an allopathic reductionist delivering pharmaceutical medicines almost exclusively to be able to tell you how to support and promote your body's ability to fix itself, because you don't have insomnia because you have an Ambien deficiency. You don't. You don't have insomnia because you have a Zoloft deficiency. You don't have insomnia because you have a Xanax deficiency. You have insomnia for a number of reasons, all of which are related to nutrition. When the nutritive system of your body, when your body's nutrient tank is running on fumes, it is impossible for certain systems of the body to function the way that nature intended them to. So, depending on your height and your weight, and too many variables to predict, when your body runs out of certain nutrients, your sleep pattern becomes disrupted. Not because you have the bad sleep gene, not because you have the autoimmune sleep disorder, because you have the wrong doctor. It's because your body has run out of the stuff it needs to develop and generate a normal circadian rhythm sleep cycle, which, by the way, is your birthright. Every organism on the planet, every living organism on the planet has a circadian rhythm. It's built into the 24-hour diurnal clock. You know, the sun comes up, it's noon, the sun goes down, it's midnight. It's more or less a 24-hour cycle. Your body, the body of a bacteria, the body of a bird, the body of a yeast, the body of a fungus, all have a clock, a built-in biological clock which corresponds to this 24-hour circadian rhythm. It is your birthright to have a healthy sleep cycle. It's your birthright. to have a healthy sleep cycle. And the only reason that you don't have a healthy sleep cycle is because your body has run out of the stuff it needs to support and promote a healthy circadian rhythm. It's that simple. But because your medical doctor doesn't know anything about holistic medicine, because your medical doctor has no training in medical nutrition, because your medical doctor has no respect, no appreciation, and no clinical experience with medical nutrition, and because your medical doctor is taught in a reductionistic method, your medical doctor attempts to fix the sleep problem with a drug. Because your medical doctor has convinced him or herself that the human body, they were taught in medical school, that the human body cannot fix itself, that once you're sick, you're screwed, and your only option is to march in with man-made synthetic drugs which override, overpower, and control the innate systems of your body. And because they are so bad at what they do, the hits just keep on coming. Another report today released by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, reveals that suicide rates among men and women aged 35 to 64 years old increased by 28 to 32% between 1990 and 2010. In the last 10 years, suicide rates for those aged 35 to 64 years of age, whether you're a man or a woman, increased by 28 to 32%. While we've let the MDs drive the bus of medicine. Now, who's responsible for this? It's the MDs. It's the MDs' fault. It's the MDs that are supposed to be in charge of our health care, is it not? I mean, aren't these the people that we pay every month to gain access to? It's their job to look over our health, and they stink at what they do. We're dying literally and being bankrupted because of their incompetence. All the more reason to fire your 6-582-9933. Lines are open. We're going to kick it off in California with Shirley. Hey, Shirley, thanks for the call. You are live.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I called earlier this week about the deep depression I've been in. You told me to get the sugar, the sweeties, and to hold off on the brain thing, and no sugars, no fruits and stuff, but I've still got this bad diarrhea that's just like liquid, and I'm worried it's taking up all the nutrients I'm trying to apply into the body. What can I do?
Okay, well, how long have you been suffering with, diarrhea symptoms?
It's been several months. It's gone on for several months, and it stopped for a while, and then it's back again, and I don't know what started, if I was eating meat not well enough done, just the hamburger meat. I don't know.
Okay, so how long have you been doing the longevity supplements?
About a month or so.
So the diarrhea started before the longevity supplements?
No, it was several months before. So although the first time I had that liquid, the liquid orange stuff.
The Beyond Tangy Tangerine,
Yeah, and it was pretty hard for me to get down. The crystals are working better, so.
Okay, good. All right. Well, and you've eliminated wheat, barley, rye, and oats from your diet, right?
Yeah, I'm cutting them out, and I don't eat much of that anyway, and I'm trying to cut all the rest of the sugar out, too, so.
Okay, so here's what I'd like you to do. I want you to go to a health food store or Whole Foods or something. Mm-hmm. And pick up a bottle over the counter of something called psyllium husk powder.
Psyllium husk powder, okay.
And you spell that P-S-Y-L-L-I-U-M. P like Peter, S like Sam, Y-L-L-I-U-M.
Psyllium husk powder, okay.
It's got to be powder. Powder is the operative word. Do not just get psyllium husks. Get psyllium husk powder.
Powder, okay.
And preferably just in a jar. That's not in capsules, right?
Okay, not capsules, okay.
So it's going to look like a little bottle filled with flour. That's what psyllium husk powder looks like in the bottle. It looks like just a bottle filled with flour.
Okay.
And what I'd like you to do, please, and also get some unfiltered, unsweetened, organic apple juice. Unfiltered, unsweetened, organic apple juice. That's the, there's two different types of apple juice you can get over the counter. One is like crystal clear, it looks like cider, and the other is like cloudy. You want the cloudy stuff, and preferably if you can in an organic form. All right.
Okay, organic. Okay.
Now every night before bed, I want you to take 8 ounces of the apple juice.
Okay.
And into the 8 ounces of apple juice, put 1 heaping tablespoon of the psyllium husk powder.
Okay.
1 heaping tablespoon of the psyllium husk powder, and stir the crap out of it.
Okay, and stir well. Okay.
Now, it's going to be hard for that stuff to, you might want to like put the psyllium husk powder in the glass first and then pour the apple juice on it and then stir the heck out of it.
Okay.
Now, once you make that solution, if you were just to leave it on the tabletop and walk away, in about 15 minutes, if you came back, the psyllium husk powder would have sucked up all of the liquid in the glass.
Okay.
And there would be this gelatinous mass of psyllium husk apple juice hybrid stuff in the glass, right? The intention of this therapeutic is to provide like a roto-rooter for your large intestine, right?
Okay.
It's like an intestinal broom kind of a way to think about it. So what you do is you stir the psyllium husk powder into the apple juice, and then you drink it down. I mean, you chug it. You chug it down.
Chug it. I like that.
You don't sip it. You just chug that puppy right down in like 15, 20 seconds. And then you follow it with 8 ounces of water.
Okay.
Now, you don't have to chug the 8 ounces of water. You can take 5-10 minutes to drink the 8-ounce glass of water, okay?
Alrighty.
But you want to follow the psyllium husk apple juice chug with water and then go to bed. Now, when you wake up the next morning, 5 will get you 10, that you'll have a very well-formed bowel movement. And because most of the time, when we have chronic diarrhea like this, it's not aggravated by consumption of any food. It's because there's a constipation thing going on somewhere in your large intestine. And it's counterintuitive, but that's usually the reason. So the intention of this program is to kind of push through any blockage that's in the large intestine, which is caused by, fecal material. Now, another thing that you can do, another strategy here, is during the day, just make sure that you're drinking more water.
More water in the day. Okay.
Yeah, all right. And so try this for a couple of nights, over the weekend, and then call me on Monday with a report, and I bet you that's going to go a long way towards fixing the chronic loose stools. All right, we're up against the hard break here, Shirley. Give it a try over the weekend.
IRS back taxes.
That's right. You got that right, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Peter Glidden, your friendly neighborhood naturopath, your steadfast advocate for health. What are you waiting for? Check it out. FireYourMDNow.com, FireYourMDNow.ca. Log in, sign up, get informed, and take back your health and build your wealth. Got another California call today. Dave is calling about a urinary tract infection. Hey, Dave, thanks for the call. You are live.
Dr. Glidden, thank you, and good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon to you, although I guess, it's afternoon in California, I guess.
Oh, yeah, don't worry. It's a cool day here. It's only going to be 95 here.
You're just bragging, Dave.
Two kids here. We got to tell you what. We got a 14-year-old that way overweight. He was self-conscious. Just a lot of things bother poor kid. He just gets upset. He's now Mr. Skinny. It was about 6 months on Tangy Tangerine, and then we were just breaking even, and then we tried the ASAP, and he is now Mr. Skinny, and he doesn't walk around the house holding a towel in front of him, that kind of stuff. He doesn't mind walking around now. So the 16-year-old has a UTI, that's urinary tract infection, and it seems that we gave the one antibiotic, then Dr. K switched her to sulfa and something else, and now it feels like it's in the back, so it may have gone up in the kidney, and not to worry about it.
Well, not to worry about it.
Well, keep on with the antibiotics.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about this. So look, antibiotics, they're great, right? It was a big breakthrough when they first happened. But here's a little brief history in time of antibiotics. When antibiotics first came out, it was considered medical malpractice if you just gave your patient an antibiotic willy-nilly. What used to be required is you had to go into the site of infection. You had to take some type of a sample from it. You had to culture the bacteria, and then you had to see whether or not the antibiotic that you were using would actually kill that bacteria. If you did not do that, if your patient just called up with a sore throat and you didn't do any culture or sensitivity and prescribed an antibiotic, you could lose your medical license. Then they came up a couple of years after that. It might have been 10 years after that. Don't quote me on that. But shortly thereafter, the pharmacology students in the world and, the whiz kids in the white coats, they came up with this stuff called a broad-spectrum antibiotic. Now, when they started using broad-spectrum antibiotics, it no longer became necessary to do a culture and sensitivity. So they just started using antibiotics willy-nilly. And for goodness sake, you can, depending on your relationship with a medical doctor, you can call an MD up on the phone now and say, hey, doc, I got a sore throat. Can you give me an antibiotic? And they'll write you a prescription over the phone. And, this is kind of how far down this slippery slope we've gone. And because of this extremely lackadaisical attitude that MDs have, because they're just lazy, arrogant SOBs, we've developed all kinds of antibiotic-resistant bugs now. And this is the reason. Because we've been prescribing the wrong antibiotics for the wrong bug, and because of it, the bugs have adapted and matured, and now we're faced with a whole host of superbugs that don't respond well to antibiotics. So it is never, ever, ever a given that an antibiotic is going to be effective. And, where there's smoke, there's fire, and we have to have common sense. We have to use common sense at all times and always question the intelligence of the MD. Always question the intelligence of the prescribing physician. Because, for goodness sake, what you should have done when you first brought the child in, with the urinary tract infection, is say, all right, doc, this kid, it's 14 years old, 16 years old, they're 110 pounds, 5'8", and it's a urinary tract infection, and you can tell me that it's this particular bacteria, C. diff, or whatever it is, Staph aureus, or whatever it is. And the dosage of the antibiotic that you're giving. It's based on her body weight. How long is it going to take? How long can I reasonably assume it's going to take for this drug to work? That would be a reasonable question for you, me, or anybody else to ask the prescribing physician. But because we don't do that, because we haven't really been taught to do that, the doctor's off the hook. So, if they told us, 7 days, it'll be better, and then we go in on day 8 and it's no better, then we've kind of got the doctor's feet to the fire, and we're going to force them through default to have a little bit more due diligence in their, diagnostic ability and their ascertaining of what's actually going on here with the patient, right? So, just don't worry about it. That's not good enough for me. But what are we going to do? Well, we're going to be prudent and we're going to be smart. So because there's an infection afoot, it would make sense, don't you think, to get on board with a science-based, clinically verified medical therapeutic, holistic medical nutrition therapeutic, which has been proven to support and promote and strengthen the action of the immune system. And so that's what we're going to do. So the recommendation here, of course, would be the Healthy Start Pack and selenium, appropriate for body weight. The Healthy Start Pack and selenium, appropriate for body weight. And then for 14 days, 9 kilobiotic a day. That's 3 with breakfast, 3 with lunch, 3 with dinner, 9 kilobiotic a day for 14 days. 9 kilobiotic a day for 14 days. Plus a diet that has eliminated the 10 bad foods and a diet that's high in protein. because your immune system, my immune system, everybody's immune system, if you're a human being, is made from protein. That's what it's made from. The bones are made from calcium and minerals, right? The joints are made from connective tissue and glucosamine sulfate and hyaluronic acid. Well, the immune system is made from protein. How about that? So whenever we're trying to strengthen the immune system, it's always smart to add protein into the bargain. And interestingly enough, you probably remember that video game Pac-Man. Do you remember that video game, Dave?
They eat them up. Yeah, they eat them up.
Yeah. So there's a part of the immune system called a macrophage. And the macrophage is like Little Miss Pac-Man, and it goes through the blood and eats up bacteria and viruses and stuff that shouldn't be there, which is a good thing. The stuff that's in the killer biotic makes those little Pac-Men work faster and better. It kind of like kicks them in the butt so that they work much more efficiently. It increases something called macrophage response time, which is the time it takes the macrophage to destroy the bacteria once it sees the bacteria or senses that the bacteria is there. It's a very good thing. However, when there is too much sugar in the blood, the little Pac-Man gets put to sleep. Which is why, again, one of life's greatest ironies, one of the worst things that anybody can do to manage any type of infection is to drink orange juice. Because the sugar, then everybody thinks, oh, I need my vitamin C. Well, I don't know if you need your vitamin C, but there's so much sugar in orange juice that if you pound down 12 ounces of orange juice and you think that it's going to help you fight your infection, it's not. It's actually going to increase the time span that the infection is present. And also, anti-febrile medications, things like Tylenol or aspirin, right? Well, your body's response to an infection is to turn up the heat in your body, and that feels uncomfortable, and you'll have a fever, and your muscles will start to ache. But the body is doing that for a reason. It's trying to burn out the bacteria or the virus. It's actually trying to kill it by increasing the ambient heat inside the body, because there's only a very small heat tolerance range that the bacteria can live inside of. And when the body's core temperature gets to be at a certain level, the bacteria die. So another one of the worst things that you can do when you're dealing with any type of an infection is take a Tylenol or an aspirin or ibuprofen in order to bring the fever down. You'll feel more comfortable after you take the drug because the fevers don't feel very good, but when you do that, you're going to guaranteed lengthen the amount of time that the bacteria or the virus or whatever it is that's in your body is going to increase its lifespan because you've just eliminated one of the body's defenses against it. So my recommendation, let the fever go. If the fever becomes problematic, put a cold towel over the forehead. And by the way, fevers are 100% safe if they are at or below 105 degrees Fahrenheit orally. 105 degrees Fahrenheit orally is a perfectly fine temperature for fever. And little kids can have febrile seizures with even a small elevation in their temperature. Like it's 101 oral temperature Fahrenheit, 101 oral, and the kid's going to get a febrile seizure. The parents freak out. There's nothing wrong with a febrile seizure as long as the fever is at or below 105 degrees. There's only one caveat to this, and I have never, ever seen it in clinical practice. It happens maybe in the ghetto, maybe in Biafra or someplace where there's just really, really, really bad, states of affairs. But any fever, even if it's 99 degrees, in the face of dehydration is a medical emergency. And how do you check for dehydration? Well, you squeeze the skin on the forearm, and you pinch it together with your thumb and forefinger, and then you let it go. And if after you let it go it stays pinched, you're dehydrated. And if you're dehydrated with a fever that's a medical emergency. You got to go to the emergency room right away. I've never, ever seen that happen in the United States in 24 years of clinical work. But that's the only caveat about fevers. I let fevers go, manage the fevers with cold towels, with homeopathic medicines are a great remedy for fevers to help knock the fevers down. But notwithstanding all of that, and I know that I'm talking a blue streak here, but here's the deal, man. A diet that's high in protein, so eggs with salt and, chicken soup and steak and hamburger and mixed salted nuts, things like that, rice and beans together in the same meal are a perfect protein, and 9 kilobiotic a day on top of the Healthy Start Pack. That should go a long way towards helping this. Now, is the person, a 16-year-old, is it a male or a female?
Yeah, it's a girl, and they're going to try to detect what bacteria it is by doing the urine sample, and that takes a few days.
Well, they should have done that a week ago, but the fact of the matter is that often the kilobiotic is the thing here, and there's only really two things that can cause a bacterial infection, a urinary tract infection in a 16-year-old girl. It's either sexual activity or she's wiping inappropriately, right? So when she sits on the toilet and has a bowel movement and she wipes from the back to the front, then she can transport bacteria that was in the poop into the urinary tract canal. So you always want to teach the kid to wipe from the front to the back all the time, especially females, right?
Yeah, and on this, does she need to take the OsteoFX?
Everybody does, yeah. The OsteoFX, right? See, it's a great question, man. That makes you the smartest man in class, Dave. The OsteoFX Plus is part of the Healthy Start Pack. So it's mandatory that everybody, especially growing teenagers, get on board with one Healthy Start Pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month, and they take their dose of that stuff every day. And I got to tell you something. If teenagers get on board with the Healthy Start Pack and they take those supplements every day, within 90 days you're not going to even recognize your kid anymore, because they're going to be mellow, they're going to be nice, they're not going to be the normal, badass teenagers. It's a remarkable change. The Healthy Start Pack makes people happy. I've seen it 100 times. Check it out, Dave, and give me a call back next week. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, and this is Fire Your MD Now. We would all benefit from maintaining the eye of the tiger, because we have been confused and befuddled and used. You have been used, ladies and gentlemen. You have been played by 100 years of pharmaceutical profiteering. You have been lied to. You have been manipulated. You have been killed. Well, not you, but your friends and family members have, by an old-fashioned, out-of-date, one-trick pony, Machiavellian, mediocre medical system monopolized by the MDs. And if you're happy with the status quo of your health, then, I don't know what drug you're taking, but keep it away from me. For goodness sake, we are suffering needlessly here in this country, because when it comes to our health, we've bet on the wrong horse. We've taken the wrong dog to the hunt. We've gone to an MD who's trained in allopathic reductionism for help with a chronic health condition, and that's a scientific impossibility. MDs are not trained in how to help your body heal or recover from anything. MDs are trained in how to manage your symptoms with drugs until they get so bad that you need a surgery, and then another surgery, and then another surgery, and then another surgery, and then you die. That's their whole game plan. Medicate your symptoms into submission until surgery is mandated. And then when you die from the surgical procedure, they wash their hands, walk away, and sleep well at night, because they consider that they did their job. They are the most dangerous people in the world, because they do not know that their therapeutics have failed. Their arrogance and hubris before the fact is so large, so breathtakingly huge, that it is not possible for them to comprehend the simple fact that their medical therapeutics are the leading cause of death in the United States, that their medical therapeutics are the cause for the medical meltdown. The medical system does not need to be tweaked. The medical system does not need to be managed. The medical system does not need to be massaged or manipulated or legislated up or down. The medical system needs to be avoided because it doesn't work. I mean, the facts are in. It doesn't work. If you've got high blood pressure, you've got osteoarthritis, you've got fibromyalgia, you've got a urinary tract infection, you've got insomnia, you've got congestive heart failure, you have a rapid heartbeat, you have osteoporosis or osteoarthritis or eczema or psoriasis, or your hair's fallen out, you have an underactive or an overactive thyroid, you have kidney stones, you have cysts on your kidney, you have a gallbladder issue, you have heartburn, you have a colitis or irritable bowel or celiac disease, you have any of these things, and you go to an MD, the therapeutics that they deliver will end up hurting you. They must, because they don't get to the root cause of the disease. They just push symptoms around. But because their therapeutics, because their profession has monopolized the medical arena, and because the pharmaceutical money is so breathtakingly large, you can't even comprehend how much money these people have. You do not know that there is a better and a different way, which, by the way, is delivered by licensed physicians, licensed and regulated physicians. You know, the fact of the matter is that you don't know what you don't know, and when it comes to your health, the stuff that you don't know is going to kill you, or it's going to heal you. Now, you have to choose. You have to make a conscious choice to come into the light. You have to give it up. If you're happy with the status quo of your health care, then God bless you. It's more or less a free country. Sometimes I'm thinking less and less so, though. But, you know, you still have free will, and you're able to move around and do more or less whatever you want within the bounds of the law. You do not have to go to your medical doctor. Not yet. You can use science-based, clinically verified alternatives to drugs and surgery, which are delivered by licensed naturopathic physicians. But you don't need a private consultation, because another thing that you've been brainwashed into believing is that healing is a sophisticated, complicated process. It's not. Surgery is. Healing is easy. We have developed boilerplate health recovery protocols, which is the best place to start when you're attempting to support and promote your body's ability to overcome a chronic disease. Stick with us, ladies and gentlemen. We will show you the way out of gloom and doom and health despair into the light of medical nutrition delivered through the Longevity Company. Check it out, fireyourmdnow.com, fireyourmdnow.ca. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, coming back with hour 2 after these messages.